Hello everyone, it's your girl Tinuade of Ishi Couture. In today's tutorial, we shall be making these beautiful pleated palazzo pants. Yes, and the measurements you'll be needing for this to make this beautiful pants, it's your hip measurement, your waist measurement, and the trouser length. Yes, you'll need those measurements to make this simple DIY pants. So, how do you know what to put on fold, or how do you know the quantity of fabric that will be enough for you to make this beautiful trouser? What you need to do is simply multiply your hip measurement by 3 or 2.5 depending on how full you want it to come out. So if you really want it full, 3 and above is perfect. But if you want it moderately full, then 2.5 is okay. So let's say your hip is 36. In my own case, I am hip 36. So my hip measurement multiplied by 3 will give me 108. That's approximately like 3 years. So I'll know that 3 yards of fabric will be enough for me to make this pants. So just impute your hip measurements and multiply by 3. If you want it really full, you can use 3 and above, and if you want it moderately full, just use 2, yeah, times 2 of your hip measurement, or times 2.5. So this is what I have. So I know that I need 108 inches of fabric to make this outfit. So what to know what to put on fold for front and for back. So what you need to do is to divide your answer by 2. Then you have one part for front, then the other part for back. Lest I forget, you'll be needing extra like 3 inches for the back. So having gotten 54 inches for my front piece, I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2. So I'm be using 54 inches to fold the front piece. So on fold now, I'm having 27 inches. So I'll go ahead and draw out my starting line. So this is me drawing out my starting line, which will also serve as my waistline. Then the next line we are going to draw will be our crotch line. How do we get our crotch line? It is simply dividing our hip measurement, divide your own hip measurement by 4 plus 1.5. Yes, that 1.5 is for his. You know, this is a free outfit, so we need it very free around the crotch side. So you simply add 1.5 to quarter of your hip measurement to get the crotch line. So this, in my case, it gives me 10.5. So I'll go ahead and draw out 10.5. So this is me drawing out my crotch line, marking out my crotch line. Then I'll go ahead and mark out the length of the pants. Now I have my waistline, my crotch line, and the length of the pants. So what we are going to do next is to get our crotch depth. How do you do that? You can simply go inward by 2.5, or you do your normal pants crotch calculation. You know the standard for trouser crotch is you divide your hip measurement by 20 for front, then your hip measurement by 10 for the back. So what I'm doing here is simply dividing my hip measurement by 20 so as to get the crotch depth. My hip is 36 divided by 20 will give me 1.8. So I'll just go ahead and go in by 1.8 at the edge of the fabric there, at the edge of the folded edge end. So this is me imputing the 1.8 at that side. That end is an open end, while the other side is folded. Remember, we use 27 inches to fold this front. So that point I thought you just go in outward by 1 inch to create a smooth curve. Follow what I'm doing. I'm sure, just be sure that you get a very beautiful pant at the end of the day. So I've connected it into a smooth curve. So we're almost as good as done for our front. I told you it's a DIY. So at this other side, this folded edge, I'll simply go in by 1.5. This is just to give our pants a beautiful shape at the back. So at the down part too, I'll go in by 1.5. So what I did was just to connect the 1.5 that I came inward by to the hip line. And I'm using a longer ruler to connect the 1.5 at the length of the skirt to the hip line also. All this is just to give a beautiful fitting at the end of the day. So we are as good as done for the front. So I'll go ahead and cut out. Yes, this is our front piece. So if you have followed this far, please kindly hit the like button, subscribe to my channel so that you see more of these beautiful tutorials, and remember to turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new tutorial. Thank you. So since we are done with the front pattern, I'll go ahead and cut out. Please remember to add half an inch for joining to the band. Remember this pant is still going to have a band. So this is me cutting out the front piece. So this is our back trouser piece, and I've gone ahead to fold this with 54 inches plus extra 4 inches. So I have 58 inches for back, and we use 54 inches for front. This is because the crotch extension for back is always more than the front. You understand as we proceed. So, and I've gone ahead to draw out my starting line, which will also double as my waist line. So what I will simply do is to place our front piece on the back. So I'll go ahead and extend out my crotch line. Remember, we use hip divided by 20 for front. So for the back, we'll be using hip divided by 10 to get our crotch extension. So in my case, 36 divided by 10 will give me 3.6. So from where the crotch extension of the front ends, you place your tape there and measure out whatever your answer is to get the crotch extension for the back. This is to enable you to be able to sit, climb when you are on pants. So I've gone ahead to add 1 inch for zipper allowance at that side, because the zipper is going to be at the back. So all other parameters remains the same. I'll just go ahead and trace out the front on the back. And another thing is that I'll connect the hem the length of the trouser to the crotch. Then I'll go ahead and cut out. You can see the way I'm doing it is just to connect the hem of the trouser, the length of the trouser to the crotch extension where you marked out the 3.6 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut out the back piece now using the front piece as a guide. So here we have a front and back piece. So what we are going to do next is going to the sewing machine and start joining. So we'll go ahead and join the front with half an inch. We'll join the crotch side by half an inch. But for the back, we'll be using 1 inch. Remember, we left 1 inch for which will also serve as zipper for the back. You can actually use half inch for both. So this is what we have. I've gone ahead to join the crotch of the front with half an inch, and for the back I used 1 inch. So what we are going to do next is to start our plaits. So what we are going to do next now is to start pleating. Yes, we are going to be pleating the waistline of her trouser. Remember, it's a pleated palazzo, and you can choose to do a gather stitch on this. If you choose to, it will still come out nice. So we are going to be gathering the width of the front piece. Yes, so you start your pleat from the midpoint, that is that point where you have your joining. So make sure that your pleats are facing the same direction. Make sure that they are facing the same direction. So this is me trying to pin down my pleats so that it will be well secured for me to stitch. And make sure to leave 1 inch on both sides. Make sure to leave 1 inch on both sides of your front piece so that you use that as your seam allowance. It is not good for you to pleat those sides so that it won't look rough at the end of the day. So make sure to leave 1 inch at both sides of that your front piece. So this is me trying to secure my pleats with pins. So I'll make sure that at the end of the day I have 16 inches because we are going to cut out band length of 16 inches for the front, 14 inches as half of my waist measurement plus 2 inches seam allowance. So at the end of the day, after your plate, you should have 16 inches for the front and 9 inches for each side of the back, because 7 inches is quarter of my waist measurement plus 1 inch for seam allowance and 1 inch for zipper allowance. So a total of 9 on each side of the back. So I'll go ahead, continue to pleat, and I'll show us how it looks. So here we are. After this split now, I have 16 inches for front, that is 14 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then as for the back, I have 9 inches on both sides. I've also gone ahead to cut a long piece of like 33 inches. Yes, this will be used for our band. And I've also gone ahead to add my light interfacing, which is usually called ST. This trouser is going to have a pocket, so I've gone ahead to cut a square piece of 18 inches by 18 inches, that is 18 inches long and 18 inches wide, and I'll be folding into 4 just as you see me do. I'll fold into 2, then I'll further fold into another 2. Then I'm going to mark like an N. Yes, that's the best way I feel I can describe that. So I'm going to mark an N, and at the down part, I should have 7.5 to 8 inches for my pocket opening. Just, I think this is like the simplest way to cut a pocket. At that down part, I should have 7.5 to 8 inches. That's for my pocket opening. So I'll go ahead, mark out, then cut out. So this is me trying to share the already estated long strip of fabric that we cut out for our band. Yes, just so I'm just going to cut out what I need for front and for back. So like I said earlier, I have 16 inches for front, 9 inches for one side of the back, then another 9 inches for the other side of the back. We have our pockets, and we have already pleated side of the pants. So what I'm going to do next now is to place the front band on the waistline, already pleated waistline. I'm going to pin down, then I'll do the same for the back. Take to my sewing machine, then stitch down on 1/2 inch for both front and back. Then I'll bring back and show us how it looks. So this is what we have. I've gone ahead to attach my band to the pleated waistline of the palazzo, and this is what we have for front, and this is the back. I went ahead to open out my zipper allowance by like 8 inches so as to be able to attach my band. So this is it. So what I'm going to do next now is to come down from the waistline by 3 inches. Yes, 3 inches is okay, so as to be able to attach my pockets. So I'm going to measure out 3 inches on all the sides of this front and back piece, and I'll place my pockets with right side facing right side. So our pleated palazzo is gradually taking shape. So I've gone ahead to attach the pocket to the sides for both front and back. So what I'm going to do next now is to stitch the sides and the inner seam. So this is me trying to prepare my front and back pieces for shaping. Yes, I'm going to try to position them well, arrange them well, pin where necessary so as to be able to seam without any issue. So I'll go ahead, arrange the front on the back piece, pin the pocket side, pin my waist line, make sure that the crotch parts are matching. Yes, that point that they are matching, that the seam lines are matching well. Pin that part, because the inner side of the leg is going to be stitched on 1/2 inch, while the outer parts, remember we left 1/2 inch for seam allowance. So on the outside I'm going to use 1 inch, while the inner part of the leg is going to be sewn on 1/2 inch. Yes, I'll use 1 inch for that part. Then I'll go inside my pockets with 1/2 inch, just as you see me mark. I'll go in with 1/2 inch like so. I'll sew on 1/2 inch like so. I just want us to see this particular process very well. So I'm going to go inside the pocket with half an inch, then I'll go straight down to the hem of the trouser with 1 inch, back to the 1 inch that we started with. I'll repeat the same process for the other side of the trouser. Then I'll go ahead and sew the inner leg of the trouser with half an inch. Then I'll fold the hem because I left 1 inch for the hem. Double fold half an inch at the down part. I'll take this to the sewing machine now and stitch using the appropriate measurement I've marked out. Then I'll bring back and show us how it looks. Then lest I forget, I'm going to be attaching my zipper once and for all. So I'll go ahead now, stitch when necessary, and bring back for us to see the outcome. So here we are. Don't mind me. So this is it, and I've stitched where necessary. I've attached my zipper. I've hemmed the lower part of the trouser, that is the hem of the trouser, and I've taken to my serger so that the inside too will be looking nice and neat. So this is what we have. You can see the front, see the back, and see the pockets. So I will turn inside out so that we can see how it looks before I hang it on my mannequin. Remember, I used times 2 of my hip measurement for this. Yes, because I'm not on the big side, I'm hip 36. So if your hip is more than 36, like 40 and above, you can do 2.5 if you want it moderately full. But if you want it dramatic, then you can go ahead and do times 3 of your hip measurements. So this is it on my mannequin. You can see how it's sitting pretty. Yes, 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 yes. You can see how it's looking, and this is times 3 of my hip measurements. You can see how it's full, really full. So this is it. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you've not done so already. It's a way of supporting the channel so that you keep seeing more beautiful content. See you later. Bye.